survive that moment? Was he on deck?
Yeah, the race started on a positive note when we caught Rambler on our way to Barbuda. So I think clearly in these winds we were significantly faster on a reach.
On most normal courses, this boat gets this, but because this race had 3 tight reaches because the wind was far enough north that all of a sudden we started to realise this is possible.
The wave state was really big and there was a lot of wind, and we were going very fast. From Tentemara down to Guadeloupe was at night, and very fast, very intense, very wet.
I was trying to shield myself from the spray every possible way because it was coming from everywhere, and I just couldn't see anymore. And in the end, I was just shutting my eyes for as long as I could, and just trying to focus enough on the instruments just to go, yeah, it's about right.
I think on the whole, the conditions were just perfect for pairing. This is the ideal place to race multi-hulls because you're going to be wet in a multi-hull, and if you're going to be wet, it might as well be warm. And so it's a combination of the great wind, predictable wind generally, great scenery. It's a wonderful course.
Well, it was a hard race, as you would expect. There were some retirements, I think. Eddie will tell you how many, quite a few. And it was good, strong trades, 20, 25 the whole way around the track. And you might say, why did we beat the record? That's a good question. I think it might come down to evolution and design. Took a ton and a half of displacement out of the boat, so it's lighter and livelier, and it just gets going. It gets up and goes very quickly. Everybody notices that when you drive the boat, that if it sort of falls out of the groove, you just turn it down and away it goes. You always just wait for that sudden bang that signals trouble, because we've all had those bangs, and they can be of greater and lesser severity. So you worry about that more than anything else, and making sure nobody gets injured and nothing breaks. I think it's remarkable in this race where the boat is so highly loaded, nothing broke. But still, you remember Desiderata. It's kind of like the end of the world. I mean, sometime I want to go there as a tourist and see what it's all about. I would say this time we did not leave much on the track. You always leave a few minutes here and there, and things happen, and like we were behind Redonda for a little longer than I might have expected.
But that wasn't the stuff that was there.
Electronic.
We came around the eastern side of the island with Proteus right next to us the whole time, and knew that if we couldn't beat them on the reaches, that we were going to have trouble with them on the whole course. So when we get on the reach, we had to put up everything that we knew was the right sail, the water in, the trim tab on, and go as hard as we could. The 2 runs from the Barbuda mark were our 2 big moments, and on the backside of all the islands leading up to go around St. Bart's and St. Martin, we had the fro on doing 30 knots, and that was when we really left Proteus behind. We go around and try to sail on all these other events and get smoked half the time because, we're built tough. We just basically stopped behind one of the islands, put the boat head to wind, did all of our changes, and then took off again, because for us it's easier just to stop the thing than to try to go on the bow when it's windy. We're very prepared to have to put 2 reefs in and to have to use the J4. We were actually hoping it would be J4 and 2 reefs for the entire race. We knew then we would have nobody else on the race course, but it's a shame that it happened. Wasn't that windy.
Went well. We survived. It was a bit of a battle, I think, with the trade winds being as strong as they were. And I think we've kind of found some places to push and found some spots to kind of ease off again. And a lot of us are kind of inshore dinghy guys, but luckily we brought some heavy-duty offshore artillery, and I think a little bit of the combo of the two kind of helped out a little bit. It's a bit scary going, a 90-degree true wind angle for 8 hours in the dark, but hopefully a little bit of moth experience, a little bit of GC experience, and Marstrom experience has kind of upped our capacity for on the edge a little bit, and so that makes it kind of fun. It's still, we still respect it to no end, but I guess you have a little bit more of an appetite for it after a little while.
I had a really annoying noise on my computer, and I didn't know what it was, and it was an alarm I've not heard before. But of course, you think, man overboard, you don't actually think the boat's capsized. It took me a while to try and work out what was going on, and at the same time I was going around Sabre, so it was quite busy. And then I saw Proteus seem to have turned round and gone back. So my first assumption was that Proteus may have had a man overboard, and that was it. So I was expecting to find at the scene of the crime, as it were, just a life jacket or just a AIS that maybe Proteus had picked the person up and gone. So I was expecting to find innocence rather than what we did find. And then finding out that it was a catamaran upturned and people on it. And in the end, I eventually ended up working as a relay station with the French Coast Guard for about 45 minutes. But it's the sort of thing I guess I've done having been a search and rescue pilot. It was not a problem. It was just racing full on, and search and rescue full on is exactly the same game, really. I think it went really well. I think the boat does light up, and it really lights up with a bit of a reaching sail. It's a tough boat to race hard, and that was a tough race. The problem is electronics and seawater don't go that well together, and that's my job really on board, and trying to sort things out, and it's a struggle. And on one occasion we had complete shutdown, or no, on one occasion maybe I reset my computer 80 times, maybe I reset my wireless system 35 times, I don't know. But it's a battle.
The race was pretty tough, but yeah, the condition was not easy, but we have some nice and fast reaching in rough sea, and was really stressing but fun. So the worst thing is we break our solent. That's it.
Yeah.
The worst. But the boat is still there and on the right side. That's it.
It's tough to ever let up on a race course like this because there's always something right around the corner. So we had a couple things go wrong for us throughout the course of this race. You know, the first big one was we ripped the head foil off the head stay.
Surfed down a wave as the jib was half up, and it got caught in the water, ripped the foil half off. The two bowmen got swept all the way back to the shroud and almost went over.
From that point onwards, we only had one jib. You know, we had the heavy weather jib, and we put some soft tanks on, and you know, we were pretty confident it would hold, and thankfully it did. It's a war of attrition. You know, you saw a lot of good boats drop out of this race with a lot of good sailors, and it's always disappointing when that happens. So to be able to persevere and you know, notch a good result is certainly a small win.
Had a great time in the early parts of the race, that's for sure. Within a few hours of the race, the electronics all went down, so we were basically sailing blind, and we've got some very smart guys on the boat that were trying to fix it. But as it got dark, still no luck fixing it, and we got down towards Saba, and we had a bit of a frank discussion about it. You know, we're about to launch into a big air upwind beat, and with no electronics, you know, the biggest concern was safety. If we were to have a situation like an MOB or something like that, we'd have no way of knowing where we were or getting back to a person. So very disappointing, but hopefully we'll be back. And we had a pretty good race with Warrior, but as soon as the breeze went forward again, they're obviously a lot quicker, the canting keelboat with the nice reaching sails, and off they went.
It was really fun to do, and you know, learned a lot very quickly, and we had great fun going through the monohull fleet, and in the flatter stuff other guys starting getting on the helm, and it was a great opportunity to sort of assess where we were, you know, compared to other boats. And then that's when we started to hear radio chatter of something up, you know, something happening up forward, and ultimately we discovered that Fujin had gone over just in the lee of Saba. First and foremost, you know, safety of the crew, so it was very good to hear that everyone was accounted for, and there was people on standby, you know, with assistance. You can get caught out really easily because you get these massive downdrafts from the mountain. You go in and you're floating around, you know, no breeze pretty much, trying to break through to the other side, knowing it's coming. Took the opportunity to, you know, get jib down, get the little storm staysail up, and we're ready for those. And we got hit by two. You know, one must have been like, you know, maybe 40 knot. I suspect, I haven't confirmed, but I suspect that may have been what happened to Fujin, and we just were basically there set up, try and get into some protection. We're just trying to find flat seas and stay away from scrolls. That was basically our MO from the start, and we then lost our wind input, data coming from the wand, doing all the diagnostics that he could, but we just couldn't get it back up and going, and we made the call at that point that it wouldn't be prudent and it would be unseamanlike to try and continue in the dark in those conditions on, you know, on a foiling boat like this, where you're basically trying to sail blindfolded.
did a jibe set on the Barbuda mark, and the wind slowly started to build. Call for a takedown, and just as the squirrel was going down, we were also nose diving, jumping 2 or 3 waves and then digging the nose in, and just at that moment we actually were doing 18 knots, dug the nose in. At the same moment a 35 knot squall came through in a slightly different, it just knocked us flat. We needed to just pack it in and bring her home. She was not in a good state, but we have to respect, you know, people's health, and so unfortunately we had to give it call it a day there. But we're going to be back next year to give it another shot for sure.
We didn't make it all that far, about just after the Bermuda mark, so about 60 or 70 miles in. We snapped our canard, which is our only real means of going upwind, as we're a canting keel boat, so it just wasn't feasible to go on. And we were having too much fun, really. From the top of Antigua we were getting upwards of 30 knots in wind speed, and we were cruising along with a code 0, hitting speeds regularly towards 23, 24 knots. And I think jumping off a wave, we came down a little bit sidewards, and the force was enough to snap the canard. And usually the boat's bulletproof. I mean, we came through, I think, out of 105 starters in the middle sea race, we were one of only 35 finishers and won our class. So we were delighted with the conditions, and as I say, having too much fun. But you know, sometimes you run out of luck.